Let's talk about Fauci and so-called gain-of-function research. This is research where they take a coronavirus and they actually work to make it more transmissible and or lethal. And it was being done in that Wuhan Lab funded by our government, which gave $600,000+ to EcoHealth Alliance, a nonprofit. This is taxpayer-funded organization run by this guy, Peter Daszak, who is not a good guy. This guy stinks to high heaven, his behavior in this whole thing. And he really had his knees cut out by 60 Minutes in a great report by them. I'll give them credit where it's due. But he needs to be ousted from that job, and there's a push for it because doesn't appear to be an honest man. Anyway, we did fund this research. He's connected with Fauci. Fauci's basically the guy who got him the money. Fauci's been denying all along that Daszak or anybody else did this so-called gain-of-function research because that would not be good, given that we have several million people dead now from a coronavirus that came from bats. All right, so that's the setup. What happens now is the National Institute of Health, that's the umbrella group under which Fauci works, is now admitting in a letter that it did fund gain-of-function research through EcoHealth Alliance. But what they're claiming, Hugh, and you tell me, because my take on this is it's the CYA. They're saying we did it. We did it through EcoHealth Alliance and Peter Daszak, but we didn't know. EcoHealth Alliance did it, and they were supposed to get back to us on whether, that kind of thing happened, and they never did. And we just learned this past August that, in fact, gain of function had happened, and poor Peter Daszak, he never got back to us. So that was bad. And now we're going to EcoHealth Alliance saying, give us all your documents, because, now we don't know if we can trust you. This is all a huge CYA. The Intercept got them. They got the documents. They proved it happened. Now this is these guys being like, shit, it happened, but maybe we'll go with, we didn't know. You tell me.
The other part of the letter, which was the second CYA, is, and the gain of function research we funded was on a different coronavirus, not the one that caused COVID-19. And
Yes.
Therefore, our hands are clean. It's not how it works. If you fund a lab in one part, you're funding the lab in all parts. It's like taking a part off of an airplane. The lab works when everything is funded. So we gave all this money to the Wuhan Institute for Virology. I have myself asked Dr. Francis Collins, who I cannot overstate my admiration for, the head of NIH, and Dr. Fauci here on the show, on my radio show, about gain of function months ago. Both of them told me with great vigor, as the Kennedys would say, that had never happened. There were rules against gain of function. We would never have done it. I personally believe that neither man actually had a clue, but their staff told them, and it was a deputy director that signed that letter, Megyn. Their staff told them, don't worry about it, Doc. We didn't do that. And Rand Paul came after them. You brought it up. I've talked about it on the air. Many responsible people have said, wait, this doesn't add up. So they've gone back and done the third check, and the third check proves that the first denials were all wrong. They learned about it in August by their own admission. It is October. And so they have, again, impeded the operations of the Congress to provide oversight and, I believe, the intelligence community to come to conclusions about Wuhan. I'm stunned.
But I got to jump in. That is the most generous interpretation one could possibly give to Fauci, Collins, and the NIH. The most generous possible. Because, as you know, Rand Paul and Congress has been pushing Fauci on gain of function because lots of respected scientists have taken a look at what we know happened in Wuhan, never mind what we don't know, and said it was gain of function. And then the Intercept got those documents showing that it looked very much like gain of function. And Rand Paul got Fauci again and said it's gain of function. And Fauci keeps saying, no, you're telling me at that point, that man had an obligation, if he hadn't already done so, to go to Peter Daszak and EcoHealth, because that's how we're saying that we funded it, through his group, and say, do I have everything? Show me everything. This is not some small deal. We got 6 million people dead. I need to see the documents and know everything you did and we funded. This is not like, okay, by now the third time we'll go back and check. I don't believe that for 1 second, Hugh.
Yeah, here's where I think you might be underestimating the duplicity of EcoHealth Alliance. I believe they have probably filed report after report with the NIH saying, we didn't do anything wrong. We didn't do anything wrong. And the NIH believed them. If they're bad guys, and I sense that your intuition is my intuition about this place, whatever gets us the money and whatever establishes it, sometimes research institutions become this way and grant dependent organizations become this way. What do they need? Don't tell them anything. And so they have sent back and forth, fraught with ambiguity, lawyers' letters that have, I read that one that came from the NIH yesterday. It's just a marvelous lawyer's letter. It's been in the general counsel's office for a month.
Yes.
And it doesn't
but
admit
that doesn't
or deny.
excuse any. Being as kind to Fauci as one can possibly be, there were huge gaps in oversight of a U.S. government-funded projects in the Wuhan Lab, which, of course, we have the CCP in there. We've got the military, the Chinese military in there, and we knew that they were focused on digging up dangerous viruses. And that's Fauci. That's on him. That's the best case scenario, is that he was grossly negligent or reckless in his oversight of this group. And that when red flags were all over Daszak, thanks to 60 Minutes and others, he didn't do his homework. He still testified before Congress with certainty, rather than saying, I have to be honest. If I am basing this on the word of Peter Daszak and EcoHealth Alliance, I have had a good history with him, but I don't know that at this point whether we can try. That's not what he said.